Good day. My name is David Wild, and this is the first part of a three-part lecture on Chapter 15 on organizational structure, culture, and design from Connect Master Management 2.0. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to explain the importance of an effective organizational structure, to explain the major decisions managers need to address in creating an organization structure. You'll be able to explain the four dimensions inherent in the design of an organization structure and to evaluate the impact of organizational design on an organization's success. You'll be able to compare mechanistic and organic structures and compare functional, divisional, and matrix structures. You'll be able to recommend solutions to an organizational structure challenge. You'll be able to explain the importance of organizational culture and compare the types of organizational culture. You'll be able to recommend an approach to change an organization's culture using the competing values framework, and to explain how strategy, technology, and culture influences an organization's culture. Now, let's first talk about the basics of designing an organization structure. One of the most fundamental challenges all organizations confront early in their life cycle is the creation and continuous improvement of an organizational structure. An organizational structure is the framework used by businesses and other organizations to define how tasks are assigned, how resources are deployed, and how departments and functions are linked. One of the keys to overcoming organizational design problems in creating an organizational structure is for management to focus on designing a structure that will enable employees to do their best work and to achieve organizational objectives. An organization structure is not considered a tangible object. No one has ever seen or touched one. In fact, its mere existence is only revealed within an organizational chart, which is a visual representation of how an organization is structured. It is because of this intangible nature that determining or defining an organization structure is not an easy task. Organizational structure focuses on the division and integration of labor and various activities throughout the organization. Organizational design is the activity or process managers engage in to build an organization structure. Upon completing the organizational design, managers create an organizational chart depicting the formal structure within the organization. An organizational chart illustrates how people and activities are structurally grouped while showing the formal relationships that exist within an organization. You can see an example of an organizational chart in Figure 1 from your text shown on your screen right now. Each place on the organizational chart is typically occupied by an individual or a department, and each horizontal level represents a level of authority. So, in summary on designing an organization structure, the design of an organization structure is an important challenge undertaken by company management. An effective design incorporates formal reporting relationships, levels within the organization's hierarchy, and managers' span of control, as illustrated by a company's organizational chart. The organizational chart should identify the grouping of individuals into distinct departments and highlight specific systems used to ensure effective communication, coordination, and integration of efforts across departments. Now, let's look at some of the decisions that go into organizational design. When designing an organizational structure, company officials must make specific determinations about every department and business unit within the organization. These decisions determine the actual size and shape of the structure and develop channels of communication across the organization. First, there is specialization of labor. One of the first issues managers must address when designing an organizational structure is to determine how many subordinates should report to a specific supervisor. This is called the span of control. The driving force with respect to a supervisor's optimal span of control is the determination of how effectively and efficiently a manager can coordinate the task of his or her subordinates. Three issues that greatly impact a manager's span of control are professionalism, informal reporting relationships, and technology. Span of control influences the shape of an organization's structure by affecting the height or layers of the organizational chart. A flat organization is one with very few layers in its hierarchy, where many employees report to a specific supervisor and many supervisors report to a specific manager. On the other hand, tall organizations have many more layers in their hierarchy, usually do so because of the relatively narrow spans of control. Now, let's talk about differentiation. Managers who develop an organization structure must also make decisions regarding the levels of vertical differentiation. In other words, they must create a hierarchy by classifying employees and positions according to rank and authority. A vertically differentiated organization structure creates control and efficiency across the organization. The chain of command in an organization is the line of authority that links all employees and show who reports to whom, from the CEO on down to the frontline workers. Horizontal differentiation. Dividing labor throughout the organization is another challenge that managers face when designing an organization structure. Dividing labor into separate tasks and the subsequent grouping of these tasks into distinct departments is known as horizontal differentiation. A high number of separate and distinct departments reflect not only a high level of horizontal differentiation, but also a high level of task specialization, which is the process of focusing employees' work duties on a specific area of expertise. Horizontal differentiation facilitates the specialization of tasks, thereby enabling employees in the organization to develop unique skills and become more productive. Integration. The final challenge for a manager designing an organization structure is to figure out how to integrate an organization that has been differentiated within departments due to labor specialization, into different levels due to vertical differentiation, and across different departments due to horizontal differentiation. The process of coordinating people and activities throughout the organization is called integration. How an organization pulls its people holding different positions at different levels and across different departments together, thereby allowing it to coordinate differentiated tasks and facilitate effective communication, will critically impact its overall business success. Liaisons. Individuals who act informally as a bridge between their department and another department are known as liaisons. The people who fill this role in a department serve as the main representative of their department when dealing with the other units in the organization, with which they have expertise and familiarity. Liaisons usually learn the flexibility and adaptability necessary to take the lead in coordinating and planning with other departments. Task forces. The integrating role of liaisons usually links only two departments. when a more complex integrating mechanism is needed to coordinate a greater number of organizational units, a task force is often utilized. A task force is a temporary team made up of individuals spanning several departments, brought together to solve a specific problem or perform a particular function. After their duties are successfully completed, the task force will disband. Task force members are then responsible for taking the information obtained from task force activities back to their formal departments for evaluation. Teams. When a task force's problem becomes a long-term strategic situation, the task force must become permanent. A permanent task force is called a team or a committee. Teams provide the opportunity for people from different departments and different levels of the organization to meet, solve problems, and work together toward a common goal. Direct contacts are continuing relationships between managers and employees of different departments that expose these individuals to the challenges other departments face. Managers and employees from different sectors in the organization work together to solve problems that may affect them individually in different ways. Finally, organizational integrators. The most direct solution to the communication and coordination problems that exist because of extreme levels of specialization and differentiation is to create a position whose sole purpose is to integrate the organization. Organizational integrators are located outside the departments they are responsible for integrating, and therefore do not report to managers in the coordinated departments. Acting as project managers, organizational integrators must communicate with several individuals across several departments, even though there is no formal authority. So, in summary, on the decisions of organizational design. When designing an organizational structure, a company's management team must make specific determinations about every department and business unit within the organization. Factors to be considered in the design of the structure include specialization of labor, including how many subordinates report to a specific supervisor, vertical differentiation, meaning classifying people and positions according to rank and authority, horizontal differentiation, dividing labor into separate tasks and grouping these tasks into distinct departments, and integration, figuring out how to facilitate communication and coordination across various positions within a given department, up and down different levels of the organization, and across departments. And with that, we'll end the first part of our three-part lecture on Chapter 15 on organizational structure, culture, and design.